So the correlation, according to Pearson's product moment, we got 0.98, okay, which is strong positive because 0.98 is between 0.5 and 1, okay, and the value is a positive number, so there seems to be a positive, strong positive correlation between hours of study and score, according to this result, meaning the more you study, the more your score, okay? The more you study, the higher your score, if you want to put it that way. All right, and this is a practical example. You can apply that to your studies, okay? Now, we're moving on to this question now. It says, use the correlation R to calculate and interpret something called the coefficient of determination. Okay, the coefficient of determination is a very, very important word for correlation analysis. Okay, when correlation analysis always pops up when you are analyzing how one variable affects the other. Okay, what are the factors that affect your score? Hours of study is one of them, but by how much? Okay, now to calculate the coefficient of determination, you can go to week 7, page 5. Okay, weekly note 7, page 5. You can do that now. Okay, and but here are the steps now to facilitate this process also. Okay, so R we got to be, for this example in the worksheet, R is equal to 0.98. So if I'm going to insert, I'm going to insert this value. Insert R is equal to 0.98. R for relationship, R for Pearson's relationship. Okay, the English R. The Greek R is Spearman's relationship, but the English R is Pearson's relationship. Okay, we got it to be 0.98. So you can use your 0.90 or use your 0.88 if you are certain that the one you are using is correct. And what you do now, you square this value. Okay, so the first thing you do, you go to insert, you go to equations, open a bracket, 0.98, close bracket, and you square this 0.98. Now, what I notice now, you don't really have to go to script to square. You see, the more you interact with this, you don't need certain things. You don't really have to go to highlight and then go to, you know, script and then look for superscript. Okay, look for superscript and then put your little 2 up there. You know, you don't have to do that. You know, what you can do basically, because it is internationally accepted, that Shift 6, you see this little upward arrow, that's another notation for powering. It's an international recognized symbol for powering, and it is actually programmed in this. So if you type Shift, you keep your hand on Shift and you press 6, because above the 6 is the upward arrow. You will see this pops up, this little upward arrow, and you just type 2 and you just tab, bam, it squares 1 time. Okay, that's another way of getting the power of whatever, and here is the power of 2. Equal. So the first thing is to square the correlation. 0.98 times 0.98. You go to your calculator and you type 0.98 times 0.98. Okay. So, or in fact, if you are using Excel, you might have 0.98 somewhere in Excel. You know your answer, and you can just square it 1 time. The whole point, you have to square your correlation. That's the first step for coefficient of determination, 0.964. 0.9604. Okay. Now, the next thing you do now, after you have squared your correlation, you multiply by 100%. The product that you get, you multiply by 100%. So you say 0.9604 multiply by 100%. percent. And you don't need a calculator for that. You can just shift the decimal point 2 places to the right, 96.04%. Okay. And it says to interpret, calculate and interpret. So consequently, and the interpretation has been started already, consequently, 96.04% of the change in score was due to number of hours studied per week. Okay, so that's the interpretation of the coefficient of determination. So whenever your score vary, that variation, 96% of that variation is due to hours of study. The other 4% is due to other factors, according to the data. Okay, according to this data, these hypothetical values you have there. Okay, so you can actually use this value to talk about the intensity of the correlation between those two factors using numbers. Okay, it's a measurement by how much, and according to these values, you know, it is a lot. Okay, so please do that for your number 11 part D, coefficient of determination.